Hello! So one of my goals for this year was to finish this sketchbook, but I am very much not close at all. But it's not too late to try. So I'm actually just gonna do a quick gouache portrait or illustration on this side. It was supposed to be just a portrait, but you get carried away sometimes. And I'm painting on toned paper, so we'll see how this works. Usually you have to put on thicker layers of gouache. And I know that's how you're supposed to use gouache, is like, make it creamy, they say. But I'm using rehydrated gouache, so it's always going to be a little bit on the watery side. But yeah, maybe for 2024, my goal will be to finish the other half of this sketchbook. I think I maybe have like 1/3 done. Also, I like this sketchbook a lot just because it has 3 types of paper. You can see on this side it's black, and then here it's toned, and then actually there's a lot of there's a lot of white paper as well. So if you're just like in a different mood, it's easy to just go around and switch what type of paper you want to draw on. It does come as like graph paper though, so there are these little dots everywhere. Since I'm just mainly using this sketchbook for like pure enjoyment and practicing, I don't mind it too much. But if you wanted a sketchbook that you could do finished pieces in, I'm not sure this one is the best for you. I also think it's more for journaling and not painting. She's looking a little pale, but in my head she is pale because she's controlling these little will-o-wisps everywhere. And so in my head, she's not someone who goes outside very often. She only comes out during the night. Sort of nocturnal. Right now I'm just using mainly white, pink, and yellow just to get this base color down. But I'm definitely going to add some more dimension using like blues and greens and purples to her skin later. Right now my main issue is wanting to cover up some of this tan paper and my sketch lines. Hands are always hard. And sometimes I get nervous because I get scared if I cover up my sketch then I won't remember what my plan was. But sometimes you just gotta send it. So I feel like the early stages of a painting always look so silly. And it's not until like near the very end that I become a little bit happier with what I'm seeing. There's been a lot of moments where you just sort of want to give up because they just sort of look like a mess. But you gotta trust the process. Especially with the way I like to paint with a lot of layers. Like you just keep adding and adding and adding. So as like one layer dries, you just add another somewhere else. And then this is actually a reference of a figure skater. And I've heard once before that looking up figure skaters as a model reference is actually so fun for fantasy characters or just character creation, because they're always making crazy poses as they're spinning and stuff. So a lot of times they're in motion. So that's really good practice if you want to draw more people in poses and get inspiration. Like, oh, I saw her doing this figure skating pose and I thought it looked like she was casting fireballs or something. So that made me want to create like this girl who specializes in controlling will-o-wisps. I guess they're little spirits trapped in tiny fireballs, but a lot of times as I paint or draw something, I think it's more fun to just sort of like give it a backstory in your head, even if it's like an OC you'll never ever draw again, which I have many of. It's sort of like a one-time snippet of this person or this character and what they're doing. So in my eye, she has really long black hair as well too, but I'm gonna use more of like a base of blue. So when blocking in hair, I'm just gonna do thick blocks like this. It's okay if it's messy. Hair never falls perfectly, so it doesn't really matter. The braids though, braids can be a little messy too. My favorite tip when drawing braids is just to make hearts on your way down. It's like, here's a heart, and another heart. And then you just keep going until however long you want your braid to be. And braids tend to be thinner at the bottom too. See how thin this wash is? I'm just using it as a guideline, just sort of lay my colors down, see what the vibes are. I think this pairs well, especially since I'm leaving the background tan. A lot of times I just like to get my base colors down, because sometimes what looks good in your head might not look good in real life. So it's good to just see all the colors relative to each other, and then decide what your next move is going to be. And something nice about gouache too is like, if you put another layer on it, you can influence the color really easy, because gouache is always water activated. So as soon as you don't like a color, you can always like cover over it pretty easily, or change the hue to match what you're doing better. I feel like the hardest thing for me is like deciding what clothes someone is wearing. Because when you're first practicing drawing and stuff like that, you do so many nude models, and then suddenly you have to give people clothes that like match their personalities and stuff, and that gets sort of hard to do. Maybe it's, since she only goes out at night, maybe she has like a lot more pink on her, especially since she's out in the cold. But yeah, this is a mix of Prussian blue and burnt umber. So you can see how like basically next to the blue it looks and imitates a lot like black. Maybe this is a little bit too bright, but we'll start here. Sort of like, you know, those blue-eyed huskies that sort of stare at you and their pupils are so scary because they're so bright. Just throw in a couple dollops in her hair. Whenever I use a color, I like to just immediately slap it somewhere else as well. I feel like it just makes everything a little bit more cohesive. I really want to give her like biceps, but I sort of don't know how to draw biceps. I will try though. I think there's like a line here or something. And then I'll feather that out. Boop, boop. Yeah, but she looks like a ghost herself. She ain't got no pupils, her eyes are so white. But you gotta trust the process. She's gonna look like a person soon. She's supposed to be more surprised than that. Messed up on this side. It's alright, we'll just wait for it to dry and then I'll go back in and make her a little bit more surprised. Honestly, let's give that a quick old wipe away. Might have to just go in with a pen and do the lashes and stuff. And so as soon as I notice that I'm making a mistake, I just like wipe it away with my finger, and then I just go back in and cover it up with whatever. In this case, I'm gonna give her a little bit more red under the eyes and stuff. Just been multiple occasions where I like put my hand directly on a wet spot and just smear it. I haven't quite decided where I want my light source to be. Usually you should probably figure that out first. But we're just gonna wing it. I think because the will-o-wisps are gonna be glowing, that I'll just use that as a light source and just assume everything is pretty dark. Yeah, so this is probably like my 5th or 6th layer of color on the hair. Just because I'm a little, and it's like a personal preference thing, but I get a little scared if I go too dark too early. Only because you can't really remove. You can cover it up with gouache, but sometimes it might just reactivate the layer underneath, and it just makes it muddy, especially if you were going for like a clear or lighter color. So I just like to build it up before I start going in with the darkest colors, like this blue-black here. And then a couple random strands of hair. She looks surprised at something, maybe someone dodged her attack or whatnot. Going in with a really thin wash to sort of emulate shadows. It's like a watered down version of that brown red that I was using down here. Yep, just cover up while that work. Alright, now since I'm going to use some of that blue, I'm going to create sort of a reflective light area just around her hands and wherever the will-o-wisp is floating. So in this case, it's floating near her hair as well, like on the back side. Let's throw in some brighter strands. There you go. So the light off of this is pushing onto this. And maybe it hits her ear as well a little bit, just on the corner there. Yeah, and then up here as well. That little wispy is definitely shining off her arm. And in these situations, I just sort of like to replace whatever liner is going on here. So like for her shoulder, I used a dark brown, and instead I'm going to paint over it with this light blue, just to indicate that this is shining down on top of her. And then same right here. Her wrist is now going to be illuminated. Same with these fingers. This whole area. Maybe a little bit of her clothing as well. Just feather it out with your finger or the brush, either works. If you ever find that your gouache isn't moving very smoothly, just add a tad of water. And then it'll glide better, but you do risk the chance of like losing some pigment if you add too much. A much calmer orb, maybe he's like on reserve. It's like not really fighting, he's just sort of hanging out. Yeah, more of this golden color. That eyelash, it's a little bit too thick and it droops down a little bit too much. And if you want someone to look surprised, their eyes usually like, their pupil isn't touching the top. So just want to wipe that away real quick. There you go. Now she looks more surprised. You gotta shake them up real good. These are actually new. My sister just got me them. We'll throw in some eyebrows as well. And then I might go back in with some paint just to add some like blue to them. And her eyebrows are tilted down because she is surprised or shocked. 3 3 little lashes on each side. It looks like the paint's still a little bit wet on the yellow side, so it's like starting to bleed out a little bit, but it is what it is. You can always fix it. Draw her little ear crevices. Give them a little couple eyes. Should I give him a smile? Nah, maybe just eyes. Same with this one. I like adding like these opaque scratchiness, line work, whatnot. Oh wow, that's really bright. That's nice. Throw some on the wisps as well. I like to add little like these stars, you know? I don't know why. I just think they just make everything look so cute. Especially where highlights usually are. Like in the hair or in the eyes. Outline her finger. Stand out so much more. Oh, I actually forgot, but I wanted to incorporate her eye color into her outfit a little bit. Like I think she was wearing like sort of a traditional button up top. And since it's like a turtleneck, it clasps all the way up there. And then her hair blocks it all the way down. And then this was supposed to be yellow as well. I imagine that this might be like a talisman that she carries around, just to ward herself off from like evil spirits or something. Do a thin line. I'm just gonna fix up these pupils real quick. So cute and surprised. Oh, wait, not yet. I keep forgetting there's always more to add, you know? And I'm just gonna write some very vaguely Chinese looking characters here. None of these are real words. I'm just using my knowledge to make up what could be on here. We're just gonna roll with it. Alright. Thanks for painting along with me. Goodbye.